So again, for quadratic function, it's a bit difficult, but then let's look at this function. Ito yung sinasabi mo. It's not really rational. Okay, look at this function. Everyone, okay, punta tayo ulit sa mas madali. Okay, look at this function. Rational function 12 minus 5x minus 3x squared over x plus 3. The domain is set of real number except negative 3 because it's undefined at negative 3. The denominator will be 0. But then, of course, it's quite curious to ask, what is the behavior of the function as the values of x's close to or approaches negative 3? Diba? Yun yung curious. What will happen to the function values for x's that are close to negative 3? Kumbaga dun lang siya undefined. However, for the other parts, define yung function natin. So it's quite curious. Ano kaya sa function na ito? Okay, so ano masasabi natin? So ito yung tanong ko ngayon sa inyo. Ano ba itong function na ito? Initially, it's rational. But then for this one, I think you can do some simplification for this one. Tama ba? Nasaan na yun? Yan. You can do some simplification for this one. In fact, the numerator here is factorable. Tama ba? Yeah, you can do some factorization here. You can factor the numerator as negative 3x. Baka mali ako ha. Plus 4. Hula ko lang muna to. Minus 4 po ba? Talaga. Tingnan natin ha. Parang negative 3x plus 4 saka x plus 3. Pa-check na lang po ha. Ayan. Over x plus 3. Pa-check po. Okay. Can you check kung tama po yung aking factoring sa numerator? Ay, be careful lang sa sign. Okay. Tama naman. Okay. Thank you, Raymond, for verifying. Negative 3x squared, negative 9 plus 4x, negative 5x plus 12. Okay. So for this rational function, notice may common factor yung numerator sa denominator. But then do notice common factor x plus 3, x plus 3. So really, for this function, the behavior of this function is very similar or the same as negative 3x plus 4. Kaya nga sasabihin ninyo, di ba ika-cancel out lang natin ito? And indeed, you can do the cancellation. Okay? But then of course, you need to be specified that it will only hold if x is not equal to negative 3. That is one rule of cancellation. Remember yung a over a, rule sa math. Review lang tayo, nakakalimutan na marami ito. A over a is equal to 1 only if a is not equal to 0. You can only perform cancellation if it is not equal to 0. Okay? Tama di ba? Ang a over a is 1 if a is not equal to 0. 0 over 0, ano nga ang term natin doon? Pag 0 over 0? Sa mga nakakaalala po, sa mga nag-calculus na, paano nga pag may 0 over 0 tayo, anong tawag doon? 0 over 0 is not undefined. Yeah, thank you, Isra, Mark. It's called as an indeterminate. More of that in a short while. So hindi siya undefined, siya po ay indeterminate. So that's why we have to emphasize that. Okay, but then let me go back. The function is this one, negative 3x plus 4, x not equal to negative 3. Okay? So ano nga nangyari dito? This function is the same as the linear function y equal to negative 3x plus 4 except at negative 3. That's why if you're going to graph this one, ayan na pala rin siya. Ito yung classic. Ang graph ng ating function na ito is the same as the line y equal to negative 3x plus 4. Yun po yung line na y equal to negative 3x plus 4 except at negative 3 where it will have this classic example of a hole. O may butas siya literally. Because it's undefined at negative 3. Okay? So that's why for this function, even if it is undefined at negative 3, it's still quite curious. Ano kaya yung behavior ng function natin as x approaches negative 3? Or what we're trying to answer is, by inspecting the graph, what will be the limit of this function as x approaches negative 3? Knowing that this function is the same as negative 3x plus 4, y equal to negative 3x plus 4 except at negative 3. At ano yung mapapansin natin? Tracing the graph from the left, tracing the graph from the right of negative 3, from both ends, mag-approach lamang siya ng hole na ito. And ano kaya yung corresponding value nito? Anyone? What's the corresponding value, y value of that hole? 13 ba? 13 ba? Nagsabi ni Raymond 13. Yeah, it's 13. Bakit? Dahil kasi, yun pa rin kasi ay yung buong line y equal to negative 3x plus 4. It's the same line except that we put a hole at this part corresponding to x equal to -3. And if you plug in it here, in fact, it will give us negative, not negative, sorry, it will give us 13. So by inspecting the graph, we are going to get a limit which is in fact 13. Okay? And then again, you can proceed with the limit, with the epsilon delta definition if you want. You can really prove that the limit of this function is 13 as x approaches -3. This is an example of a function that is defined on any open interval containing -3 except only at -3. So I'm using this example just to emphasize that even if your function is undefined, you can get a limit. And this is one such example nga. Undefined at -3, but you can still get the limit. But then quite curiously, you look at this. Epsilon greater than 0, you look at the choice for delta. The choice for delta is the same as the case of the linear function. Di ba yung sabi natin kanina? Escape lang ako para balikan lang natin yung nasan nga yung sinabi ko kanina. Yung general case. For the general case, if it's a linear function, the choice for delta is epsilon over absolute value of the slope. Notice the slope of the line is m. Tama ba? The slope of the line is -3. Absolute value of -3 is 3. And you look at the choice of delta. Yung pa rin siya. So even the choice of the delta is the same as the case of the line y equal to -3x plus 4. Kumbaga taga nagka-whole lamang siya. The behavior of the function is the same as y equal to -3x plus 4 except at -3 because it has a whole there. However, the value of delta is the same as the case of the linear function. Del epsilon over the absolute value of -3, which is 3, and it's also the same as for this one. Okay? And if you proceed with the computation, I'll just show it to you now completely. It's basically the same as what we did a while ago for the case of the linear function. Yan. Same na same lamang siya, except that isi-simplify muna siya. Napansin nyo? Sinimplify muna -3x plus 4. But then do notice some simplification. Ito pa rin yung makukuha nyo. And finally, less than epsilon. So kumbaga, really, for the case of a limit, the function can be undefined at a point, but it can also, it can still has a limit. It can still have a limit. And this is one such example. Let me go back to that. Yan. Undefined siya at -3, but you can still get a limit. And quite fortunately, really the behavior of the function is defined as the original linear function, except that really we put a hole there. Okay? Yeah. So just to show you that really it's not always substitution. For this one, if you want to get the limit of this function as x approaches -3, hindi mo kaagad pwedeng sabihin substitution because it's undefined at -3. However, further inspection of the function will tell us that the numerator is factorable, and upon factorization, you can in fact simplify it and still get a limit. Okay? Yeah. So I have some questions here before magbe-break na pala agad tayo. Mag-end tayo by 12:05. Okay, let's just finish this set. Di pala ako nakapag one-sided limit pa. No? We'll just do it after the break. Okay, just to close this part. So first question for everyone. Recitation muna tayo. Should a function be defined at a for the limit of the function as x approaches a to exist? Should a function be defined at a for the limit as x approaches a to exist? Yes or no? Should a function be defined at a for the limit as x approaches a to exist? Okay, answers po. Okay, yeah, thank you. No. As shown by the previous example, the function is undefined at -3, but still we have a limit as x approaches -3. So pwede pa lang undefined. Next question. If the function value at a is L, is the limit also L? If the function value at a is L, is the limit of the function as x approaches a also L? Yes or no? If the function value is a, is the limit immediately L? Sabi dito ay yes, yes, yes. Siyempre, pag sinabi kong other answers, no na agad yung i-answer nyo. Okay, so just be very careful for this one. Okay, pag may function value ba, automatic ba na ang limit ay L? So let me go back to this one. Itong example natin kanina. Notice this function is undefined at x equal to -3, but then do remember, pwede ako magbigay ng function value at -3. I can construct a conditional function. Gawin ko siyang gusto ko dito lang. Okay. Ano yan? 5. I can come up with a conditional function f of x equal to yan. The original function if x is not equal to 3, -3. And then I can define the function value to be 5 if x is equal to -3. Ay, una po ay not equal. Okay? Ito yung original. This whole thing, hindi ko lang isusulat, mahirap isulat papunta dito. Okay? Notice, ang ginawa ko lamang, nag-fill up ako. Naglagay ako ng gusto kong function value at -3. So now the function is undefined, is already defined at -3, but then do notice, okay, na yung function value natin 5 is not the same as the limit that is, ano nakuha natin, 13. Okay? It can happen. Sabi niyo, ba't ko inilagay doon? Maybe yun talaga yung nangyari doon sa function natin. Biglang at that point, nag-iba talaga yung function value niya. It can happen. Even in models, real-world models, it can happen that really iba yung behavior niya at a certain point. Kumbaga, you're expecting some trend, pero biglang at some point, biglang, na iba yung kanyang function value, and it can really happen. Okay, so do be very careful of that. So, kaya medyo nilagay ko yung question na yon. Dahil kasi, kailangan din pag-ingatan, hindi porket may function value, automatic na yun ang kanyang limit. So, the answer for the second question is no. Okay? Yan. Hindi porket may function value, siya na yung automatic na limit. Which also will answer the second question, if the limit is L, is the function value L? Yeah, thank you pala, Raymond, sa turn. Piecewise function or conditional function. Yeah, thank you. So, no din yung sagot dito. So, just to end this part, gusto natin sabihin dito, magkaiba. Sorry po, Sir Raymond, no pa rin po yung answer sa second one. Hindi porket meron kang limit na L, siya na rin yung function value. As shown also by the same example, na posible talagang mangyari na magkaiba talaga. Ang limit nating makukuha as x approaches -3 ay 13, pero yung function value natin ay 5. Okay? So just be very careful. Gusto natin sabihin dito that the function value and then the limit are really independent of each other. Okay? Yan. So hindi talaga. Pero mamaya pupunta tayo sa continuity by the afternoon and as you will see, may relations naman pala sila.